Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about how I made over 60 mirrors in Affliction League, particularly through crafting and kind of the steps that I did to pull that off. So first I want to just kind of go over how I got to that number and kind of like show you what I have on me currently. And then I'm going to go through the process of exactly how I got there from league start to now. And yeah, hopefully you learn a thing or two about how crafting can make you insanely rich in Path of Exile. So to start, I want to just go over my bank and kind of explain how I got to that 60 mirror price point. And so starting with my build, I have a mirror here, a mirror here, a mirror here, two mirrors here, a mirror here, a mirror here, two mirrors here, 200 div, 200 div. I've got 3 Awaken Enlightened 5s on the build, so that's another 6 mirrors. I've got an Awaken Enhance 5, which is another 400 div. At the time when I purchased it, we got Discipline 2120 Val, so that's like another 40 div. Awaken GMPs, 75 div. In our tree, I've got about 200 div worth of Charms, 40 div Militant Faith, about a mirror and a half of small cluster jewels, about 40 div of medium cluster jewels, a 200 div melding of the flesh, about 80 div worth of large cluster jewels, a 40 div impossible escape, a 1 mirror that which was taken, a 200 div Watcher's Eye, a 150 div Thread of Hope. So overall, my build costed me around 10, 15, 20, probably 15 mirrors. I've got it all written down here and I did the math. And with that, plus 139 Hinokora's locks, 3,601 Divines, 4,200 Orbs of Annulments, 4,380 Deafening Essence of Scorns, and some void build stuff over here as well that was very expensive and hard to make, including things like a triple Fizz Taken as Watcher's Eye and some triple synthesized plus Hinokora's corrupted weaponry and rings and gloves. So you can see here I've got corrupted temp chains on my gloves, and we've got the corrupted strength int on the ring here and +2 duration on the helmet. So there was extra stuff here that I worked on, and this all adds up to about 15, 20 mirrors. And then of course 139 Hinokora's locks is another give or take about 10 or 11 mirrors. And then of course we got 3 mirrors here and divine orbs, or even more at this point. And then this is about a mirror's worth of deafening essence of scorns, and then about half a mirror's worth of orbs of annulments and other stuff. But and then I've got like a corrupted blood melding of the flesh down here that's perfectly rolled, and another mage blood right here. So all of this together, adding, if you add all of this stuff up, it came out to about 65 mirrors or so. And that's only my half of my crafting amount of currency I made, not to mention it's been split down the middle between me and my crafting partner Whimsy. So you can kind of double that to another 65 mirrors, and you get to about 130 mirrors. Now, the question is, how did I do that? So a lot of it came down to mirror tier crafting. And in particular, one of our items did very successful this league. It got like about 400 copies. And if you look at it, if you do 400 copies times, let's say 300 divines on average for the mirror fee, you're talking about 120,000 divine orbs, or about 120 mirrors. So if you kind of line it up, it makes sense. I said I made about 65 mirrors. I probably made about 5 of those mirrors without currency made from this crafted item, from this mirror tier item, give or take. So yeah, about 120 mirrors were made this league off of that item, and it costed us only about 4 or 5 mirrors to make, but we did it fast and we did it early, and it was unbeatable. So because it was unbeatable and we were the first to make it in a very competitive market, we got lucky and we got away with making a ton of profit off of this item. So if it is probably no surprise on what the item is. A lot of people already know what the item is. It's Soul Coil, synthesized 2-stone ring. So I actually have a copy of it equipped to me right now. Because it's in the mirror shop, I could not wear the original copy. I had to mirror it myself, which is fine because, like I said, I made more than enough currency off of the item to justify copying it myself so that I could run it in my own build. And then I made 3 more items. I made Soul Coil Gold Ring, synthesized gold ring, which was a Curse Ellie Weak tier 1 crit multi +1 power charge ring with life-based explicits made for the Blade Vortex build. And then I also had made a triple synthesized cold cast on crit dagger pretty late into the league. That one has not really, that one's pretty much gone even with how much I've made off of it so far. So you can kind of rule that one out. And then we made I can't remember the name of it, but it was a percent strength with max frenzy and tier 3 or tier 2 crit multi. I think it was tier 3 crit multi. And that ring got beat out pretty quickly early on with a better crit multi roll on the implicits, but the ring itself still did very well and still made copies as it was a budget option in comparison to the better ring. It had a lower fee on it. But then eventually I sold my half of that ring to my crafting partner Whimsy, and he still has it on the TFT shop and it's still being serviced today, and he's still making copies on that, but that also made a decent amount of profit. Overall, I've crafted 4 items, and those 4 items made me my entire league's worth of currency. So let's go into exactly how I got there and kind of go over how I managed to be the first one to make the ring and beat everyone else out. So first off, day 1 of the league. The league starts day 1. I'm on for 12 hours. The first 7 or so hours were spent running the campaign. I'm a slow campaign runner. I'm not fast at the campaign. You don't need to be rocket speed to pull off what I pulled off when it comes to the campaign. You just need to get it done at some point. So I beat the campaign in about 7 hours. I ran Frostblink Ignite as my league start, and that gave me a build that could do beasts afterwards, and also was good enough to farm white maps so that I could go and farm for chaos recipes. So what I did was, after I ran the campaign, I spent the rest of the day, so I had about 5 hours on me to just farm chaos recipes. And I made maybe, I don't know, somewhere around 60 to 70 chaos, something like that. It wasn't anything crazy. And then with that 60 to 70 chaos, the next day I woke up after getting a good night's rest, or a half night's rest. And then I spent the second day buying stack decks and opening stack decks and then selling the cards, and then buying more stack decks with what I made off of selling the cards, and opening those stack decks and selling those cards, rinse and repeat until I hit a brother's stash, a brother's gift. And then I turned that 5 divines back into stack decks, rinse, repeat, kept doing that long enough. And eventually I ended up with, I want to say, somewhere around like 60 divines. And then after I got to 60 divines, I start doing kind of this cycle where I go, okay, I'm going to spend 60 divines on cards. I'm then going to open all of the stack decks, sell everything. And then I'm going to take all the profit that I just made off of that cycle of buying 60 divines worth of decks and see where I land after I sell everything. And then, I'll land at 70 divines. Okay. So I can put my 10 divines profit that I just made into my craft. So whether that's banking for beasts or saving for a base to buy or what have you, or giving the currency to Whimsy so that he can do his Watcher's Eye rolling strategy. Whatever it was, I was taking that capital and putting it aside and then rinsing and repeating the cycle again. So then I would spend that other 60 div back on decks, run it again. Oh, this time I made 80 divines. Okay, 20 divines profit goes back into investments, for whether it be beasts, saving for a base, or giving it to Whimsy for to continue allowing him to make more currency. Whatever it was, I was just constantly rinsing and repeating this cycle. And I did that for 6 days straight. And after 6 days, you get to a point where, okay, within those 6 days, I managed to buy a base and we have a bunch of beasts, and we've been rolling beasts and trying to get this ring off the ground. We ended up making one ring. The ring got beat out like 2 days later, but we did get a few copies, but it was a bit of an L, and so we had to kind of go back to the drawing board and keep doing it again. We ended up vulture rolling maybe 3,000 times or something insane to get Soul Coil 2-stone ring, and we managed to pull that all off within a week. And then it took about 2 days to craft the item, and we ended up having an insanely good mirror tier item about 9 days into the league or so. And then after that, we just profit, and we just made copies after copies. It started slow. We had 2 or 3 copies. We were like, oh, we're getting a copy a day. This is awesome. We're making our currency back. The fee was like only 120 div or something. It was low at the start, and then it just started ramping up. And then eventually our fee became 300, 400 div as people started making more currency, and we could justify having a higher fee. We base the fee around the cost of a mirror. Whatever the cost of a mirror is, we take about a percentage off of the cost of a mirror and make that our mirror fee. And then Janebu, or Varga, or however you know him as, the founder of TFT, runs the mirror service. So he took our item, and he, for a very small and generous fee for what he does, he stays on 24/7. He copies items, he deals with clients, he has reputation. And then all we do is we sit back and we pick up our fees when we need to. No questions asked, very easy to collect our fees. Just whenever we need them, we ask for them, and he gives it to us. He splits it correctly down the middle between me and Whimsy. So Whimsy gets his half, I get my half. It's all, he sends screenshots of every single copied item. It's very professional and very well done. And for the fee he charges, it's a no-brainer. I'll tell you, we would not have made as much currency off of this item if it wasn't in TFT, because TFT holds a reputation of this market is a trusted source, which means if you're going to copy an item from TFT, you're not going to get scammed. And you also know that your item will resell on the market. So you kind of have that promise of resell. And those two alone make it very inviting for people to put their items up on TFT. And it's also very inviting for people to copy items from TFT, because there's no real risk involved in it. So we just let it sit there for months. It's been on there for about 2 months now, and we've seen it copied over 400 times. The Soul Coil ring has been copied over 400 times, and that in itself is mind-blowing. And then my Soul Coil gold ring has been copied, I think, like 10 times or 12 times, and then the dagger maybe like 8 or 9 times or so now. The Frenzy ring was copied maybe about 50 times, 60 times. And the other crazy thing is Soul Coil is not the most copied item in TFT. It's not. The Fizzbow is. And the Fizzbow made probably more than 3 times the amount of copies that Soul Coil did. So obviously the Fizzbow is the best mirror tier item to craft, but it's also not, it's competitive, right? And so is Soul Coil. Making this ring is competitive. Trust me when I say this, me and Whimsy were not the only people making this ring. We just made it first. And you got to consider, you're not always going to make it first. And if you don't make it first, you lose a lot of opportunity and currency. So you have to consider these options and decide on what item you want to make. I know Whimsy made this helmet with someone else who the name's slipping me, but he didn't make it with me, but he's made a killing off of this helmet. This helmet's been copied up there in the hundreds of times as well. So you have to consider, when you're choosing what mirror tier item to make, you have to decide based on, 1, is the base available for me at a decent time? 2, how many bases are there? How competitive can it be? 3, is anybody just trying to force roll these items? So, okay, I couldn't get a base, I'm just going to roll it myself from scratch. And 3, what are the costs of beasts at the time? Am I getting beasts ahead of time? Is this economically making sense? Etc., etc. So, for instance, if you were to make Soul Coil now, and it costs you about 2,000 Vivid Vulture rolls, at the current price, we're talking about 22,000 divines on vultures alone. And then you probably have to add another probably 75% onto there for Kracia Camirals. So We multiply that by 0.75 and add 22,000 to that. So we're at about 38,500 divines for the implicits alone. Of course, when we were making it, Vivid Vultures were not 11 divine orbs, and Acacia Chimeras were not 7 divine orbs. So there is kind of also a time frame where you can get this done before it becomes economically unsafe or economically not possible, really. So 38,500 divines, you're talking about a lot of currency, but again, I still made more than that off of this item. But at the time, we only spent about 4 or 5 mirrors to make it, and that's because we were paying 50 chaos for our Vivid Vultures and like 100 chaos for our Acacia Chimeras. So we were paying significantly less for our beast, because at the time, at League Start, when you're getting these items very early on, a lot of people can't justify raising the price because nobody has the currency and they want to, sell the beasts, right? So you have to start by selling them low. And, for some people, it's their League Start opportunity. It's how they make their currency. So when you have all these bulk beasts, you got to consider the amount of currency that is going to kind of be in circulation at the time. So 4 to 5 mirrors to make the ring, which means I had to make 4 to 5 mirrors in 9 days. Of course, it helps when you have a crafting partner who also knows how to make multiple mirrors within a week. So we were able to make that currency and push the item to the point of completion first. And yeah, that's mirror tier crafting in a nutshell. That's what it can do for you. This is not the first time or the first league that I've done this either, but it has been the most successful league. Last league, I did the same thing. I made about 20 mirrors. This league, I made about 60. So that might have something to do with the fact that with Wildwood and Ascension League, a lot of people had a lot of extra currency, so they were able to mirror items more often, pay the fee more often, meaning, okay, they can copy. There's going to be more copies, right, of this item. It makes sense that that would be a thing. But still, in previous leagues, it's always been profit for me. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this. I'm kind of just rambling now, but thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something about how to make many mirrors in a league, and kind of the reason why TFT exists, and it gives you an idea of how TFT functions, because it's not what you think. It's not just a band of people all crafting all of these hundreds of items that they have listed there. Janebu actually doesn't own, I think, a single item on his mirror tier shop currently. He just runs the service. So he's just there to copy items, and he runs a very tight shift. He's diligent about what he does. And for those reasons, that's why his service is so successful. But just keep in mind that these are real people like me who have no connection with Janebu or this like mirror market, or no connection with TFT, no previous prior connection or attachment to TFT, but we make items for them because they are a reliable mirror tier shop service. I don't have the vocability or the advertising space or the platform to advertise my items on a mirror tier shop. So I can't like self-service and expect to get as much currency out of my item as putting it onto TFT. But just do keep in mind that we're all just individuals making items for profit, and then we're putting it to TFT because TFT is the best place to make currency off of the item. And yeah, all right. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. I'm excited for Last Epoch tomorrow. So I will see you then. All right. Peace out.